And from here we go to Final Destination 4, or The Final Destination, which came out in the summer of 2009. I hate this movie. This is one where, yes, the deaths are cool. I thought it was great that they included 3D, which is something they wanted to do with Final Destination 3, but didn't get a chance to do it. I thought it was great that David R. Ellis came back to direct it. The problem with this one is the same problem I had with Final Destination 3, and the biggest problem was the characters. Now, like I said, there was only a couple characters in Final Destination 3 I could not stand. In this film, I couldn't stand any of the characters, with the exception of one. The main protagonist in this one is Nick, who's played by Bobby Campo. Then you also have his girlfriend Lori, which is Chantel Van Santen. And then Nick Zano as Hunt and Haley Webb as Janet are their friends. And then you have Michael T. Williamson as George, who's a security guard at the racetrack where they crash. Because this one takes place like at a NASCAR type race where a chain reaction accident causes death and destruction. That scene was okay. I thought the crash was good. It's probably one of my least favorite of all of them. I just didn't think it had the impact that the other films had, in terms of setting up the death and everything like that. And again, I just didn't like it. The main character, Nick, is just irritating. His girlfriend, Lori, is beyond irritating. And then Janet and Hunt is funny as a character, but there's just no depth to them. They're just being set up for the slaughter, and I couldn't care at all about any of them. And I think that's my problem with this film. Just no good story. The characters suck. George, played by Michael T. Williamson, is interesting. You feel for him. But other than that, it was just a horrible movie, and I was very surprised by this one, and I was glad I didn't waste my money by seeing it in the theater. It's the only one out of all of them I didn't see in the theater. But yeah, I mean, there's a couple of good scenes. There's a mall explosion that is caused by something, like they're doing construction, and these tanks blow and causes this big fire right outside of a movie theater, and then there's like this horrible destruction inside the mall. I mean, that was pretty cool scene. There's one in a car wash that's pretty good, and then the guy that gets stuck at the bottom of the pool, I think, is the best, next to the one at the beginning with the race crash. But otherwise, just a weak film. I was surprised it made as much money as it did, because I think out of all of them, it's a turd. It's terrible compared to the rest of them. And I very rarely watch it. So not a big fan of this one, unfortunately. And no Tony Todd, so it made it even worse. And finally, we have Final Destination 5. Now, when I found out they were making a fifth movie, I was kind of like, no, why? Because they had kind of ruined the spirit of the first three films with the abysmal fourth film. But then I started hearing some really good things coming out of this one. Number one, that they had brought Tony Todd back as Bloodworth, which I thought was sorely missing in 3 and 4. Also, that they had brought in a new director, Stephen Quayle. And that this was going to be about a suspension bridge accident. And that they were also going to be doing it in 3D, which I think is these types of films are my favorite format for 3D, because that's what 3D is. It's a gimmicks, and these films, with the over the top death sequences, is perfect for 3D. I mean, 3D films, 3D horror films are my favorite to go see. So when I went to see this opening weekend, I was so happy to say that this was probably, next to Final Destination 2 and 1, my favorite of the series. I think all three of those tie for me, because they're just the best. This movie is awesome. It's got a great cast. You have Emma Bell as Molly. You also have Tony Todd returning as Bloodworth. You have Nicholas D'Agosto, I probably said that wrong, as Sam, who's the main protagonist that has the vision. Then you also have Miles Fisher as Peter and Arlen Escarpita as Nathan. You really had a cast that you cared about, and that was what I didn't like about some elements of 3 and all of 4. You really cared about all these characters. You cared about what happened to them, and the outcome. You have to feel for these characters in order for these deaths to have an impact on you, in my opinion. And a great director, and it really brought back the feel of the original the original two films for me. Also, you know, the bridge collapse scene is amazing in 3D. I saw it in 3D and wow. I mean, I felt like I was on the bridge with him. And just some other great death scenes. The one in the massage parlor is pretty brutal. Also, there's a really bad one in a gymnastics routine that's pretty hardcore. And then, of course, the girl that's getting the LASIK surgery. That one, whew. I wear glasses and I will never get LASIK based on that scene. There's also a twist in this one, and I think it was probably the most clever and best use I've ever seen in a horror series as of late. It just really caught me off guard, and when I go back and watch it, I'm like, oh, why didn't I pick that up? Why didn't I pick this up? It was like a Sixth Sense kind of thing, where I was like, oh, I should have caught that. But great film. Couldn't give it a higher praise if I wanted to. It's one of my favorite films of last year. And if you guys haven't seen Final Destination 5, I'm not going to ruin anything. Please go out and see it. Along with it and the other films, I love this series, minus 4. I try to pretend 4 isn't in the queue. But again, it makes me kind of appreciate it. And, you know, based on how good the 5th one was, like I said, 4 isn't horrible, but, you know, it's like, it's a turd to me in terms of a bunch of shiny, you know, you got a bunch of shiny films, and then there's this one that just sort of stands out. So, yeah, Final Destination 4, The Final Destination is not my favorite, but Final Destination 5 is awesome. I really hope that, and this is just my opinion, that this caps the series, because I think it's a perfect cap. After you know, the 4th one being very bad, the 5th one is a perfect cap on an otherwise stellar series. So thanks a lot, everyone, for watching this and listening to my comments about the series. Please feel free to leave me some comments below, and stay tuned for more videos.